What does it actually take to be a true CEO? I'm talking about the kind of leader who isn't just leading a team, but they're actually being a leader. In this video, we're diving into the seven traits of a true CEO, the qualities that separate the real deal from the pretenders. And I'll show you how you can start mastering these skills. Now, why is this important? Because to be a CEO, I know many of you are like, I want to have all this money, I want to do all of these things. When you want to achieve more money, you want to grow your business, you want to grow your impact, this also requires an amount of self-responsibility. And it's in those elements of self-responsibility and acceptance that these traits come very much in handy. Because the thing is, as you grow your business, as you make more money, life still happens. So that means you're still gonna have to put your energy and efforts in lots of different things whilst holding more. So I'm going to teach you the 7 traits that you can now start to build on that's gonna really help your journey. The first one is emotional resilience. Don't know why I'm saying this so dramatically, but I am. So let's kick some things off with the essentials. For any CEO, emotional resilience is absolute key. The reason for this is because you actually have to fail forward. The successful CEOs that you see have been the ones who have failed the most. They weren't just born successful and everything they touch is successful. They actually have a mentality and an emotional resilience to be able to fail and get back up and go. So fail fast, get back up and keep going. That's honestly what you need to do. Being a CEO does mean you're going to face a lot of uncertainty and a lot of setback. But the true leaders are the ones who don't just survive these moments, they actually thrive amongst them. They look at failures as a stepping stone, not a roadblock. And I actually remember I was in a moment in my life where I was really struggling to get back up. I just couldn't get back up. I kept failing, I kept trying, and I kept failing again, and I was like, Jesus, this is so hard. And I was like, I was never taught emotional resilience. And I have a 4-year-old now, and I saw him literally fall over. He fell over in front of my eyes, and I was like, hold on a minute. He's physically doing what I'm emotionally feeling. And I was like, what's a lesson I can teach him that's gonna help him get back up when he falls down, both physically, mentally and emotionally. And so now I've instilled the thought with him, which is a reminder for me as much as it is for him. What do we do when we fall over? And he says, we get back up. There is always space and room if you need to cry, if you need to feel whatever you're feeling, feel it all, but we get back up. Because I gave him that lesson, it's taught me so much. So now it's in my head. Anytime I emotionally or mentally fall down, just repeat to myself, what do we do when we fall over? We get back up. That is as simplistic as it is. Yes, the act of it can be very difficult if we've not learned it before, but as you learn to just get back up, it becomes a habit and then it becomes who you are. Just do it. Because guess what? CEOs aren't perfect. 7-figure CEOs aren't perfect. 8-figure CEOs aren't perfect. Nobody is. But they have an ability to get back up. So when I first started my business, I'd already been helping people with business for years. But when I first started my own business, I actually started in Bali. And the first ever CEO that I worked with, she was in Bali with me, and she actually turned up to our meeting in a bikini, and she was 10 minutes late. And I was like, what the hell is this? My idea of a CEO before that was just a man in a suit, normally a white man in a suit. And here all of a sudden is this female CEO in Bali wearing a bikini. She's 10 minutes late and she's like, it's all okay. And I thought that CEOs knew their numbers, they knew all of this stuff. But the thing is, this CEO, she had no idea about her numbers. She just knew she wanted to do something with her business. She just didn't know how. And she was living her lifestyle and embracing her authenticity, and it was beautiful. And it was also so much uncertainty in her life and in her world, but it also opened me up to the belief and understanding that CEOs are not perfect. It's about handling the storms with grace and learning from each setback. So you can do this. The second thing that has actually really, really helped me, and I teach all of my clients, and they're like, I had no idea we could do this. This is so cool. It's honestly self-mastery and leadership. If you want to lead a business, if you want to lead a team, first you need to lead yourself. If you don't know how to lead yourself, how the hell are you going to lead a business or a team? Self-mastery comes hand in hand. Self-mastery isn't about being perfect. It's not the end goal. It's about knowing knowing yourself enough to stop your habits and patterns that you want to stop. It's about knowing yourself enough to know where your strengths are, your zone of genius is, but also where your weaknesses are. So then when you want to be able to hire a team, grow a team, you know who to hire because you know where you lack the technical skills, the potential emotional resilience, and all of that. So it is so crucial. Self-mastery and leadership. Because honestly, a true CEO knows that being the boss means doing the hard thing. And if you're already like, I don't want to do this, chances are you don't want to be a successful CEO, because they do hard things. But honestly, they make the hard decisions. They make the hard choices. They have the hard conversations because they've learned to have them with themselves first. So you might resonate to this where you go, I'm gonna get up tomorrow at 5 and I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna do all this. And then tomorrow the alarm goes off and you're like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. You're not willing to have a hard conversation with yourself to go, why didn't you do it? If you can't start with yourself, how the hell are you gonna do it with other people? Number 3, owning your mistake. This is a big one. I'm still practicing this one. Honestly, CEOs don't have it all together. They really, really do not. What they do have though is the ability of self-awareness to recognize their own shortcomings and the humility to ask for help when they need it. And honestly, I work with a lot of 8-figure CEO companies, and I was working with one of them, and it was actually incredible. It was so enlightening because what I used to think about people who made all this money and grew and, you know, led a business like this, I was like, they have to be so like, rah, 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 and they've got to be all this. And honestly, it's so much further from the truth. This particular CEO, 8-figure CEO, he sat across from me. We had our first call and he goes, you know what? I've made a lot of mistakes, Caitlin. I'm like, well done on you for admitting it. And he said, I want my team to be able to make mistakes as well and learn from them. Because he said, how the hell do I teach them how to learn from their own mistakes? Because it's been so important and such a game changer for me to learn from my mistakes and fail forward. And so the question to me was, how do I make them do that? So I honestly said to him, do they know about your mistake? And he said, well, no, not really. I don't really talk about it. And so I said, well, that's your first step. As a leader, you need to own your own mistake, talk about them, and share what you've learned. Because when you actually open up the conversation to be about mistakes, you share that vulnerability, you open up the space and the conversations to be that vulnerable. So then it was so wonderful. A few weeks later, he actually came back to me and he said his team has now become more open and transparent, and they actually stopped hiding mistakes and they started owning them, which really did lead to a huge shift in their productivity and morale because they weren't scared anymore about making mistakes or hiding them. They could just own up to it and talk about it, because the thing is, we all make mistakes. What makes us human. It's also what connects us. Point number 4, balance is bullshit. Balance is bullshit. When I first started, I was like, oh my God, all the CEOs I've worked with before, they've been so balanced and they can do this. Balance is such a bullshit word, honestly, when it comes to business and personal. For me, life comes in seasons. So there is seasons of my life that my family and my personal life I need to devote more time and energy to. And I love that. Then there's seasons where my business requires a hell lot more of my attention and guidance. And it ebbs and flows. And sometimes I want more time with my family, but the business is calling me. Sometimes I want to spend more time in the business, but the family's calling me. But it's the ability to be able to adapt and evolve and know that it's all just seasons. And these seasons can be a day, they can be a week, a month, a quarter, but it will ebb and flow and it will always change. And honestly, sometimes you ride the wave, sometimes you get crushed by it. But it's all about making the best of whatever situation is in front of you. And a true CEO knows that you can't control everything. As much as you're going to want to, you can't. You're constantly adapting, adjusting, evolving, and riding the wave of whatever comes your way, because life continues as you grow a business. So I once worked with a 7-figure business who wanted to scale to 8 figures, and everything was going great until it wasn't. For myself, I was actually going through a health crisis that required my attention. And for the first time ever, I actually couldn't give my client the attention that they needed. But instead of pretending everything was fine, I had a radically honest conversation, which was hard, to be honest. It was quite confronting. And we discussed my situation openly, and together we actually made adjustments. So they respected my honesty, and we went our separate ways because it was the best for both of us in a way that actually benefited both sides. And honestly, it was tough. It was tough to go, I'm sorry, I didn't give you what you deserved and what I said I could do, because my health required more of my attention at that time, and that's just the honesty of it. And it was tough, but it was a perfect reminder that you can't always balance everything. Sometimes you need to flow with life and adjust accordingly, and sometimes you're just not going to be able to give your all to the things you think you can, and that's okay. Point 5, slow down to speed up. This one I have to keep reminding myself, but it's so important. You need to go slow to go quick, and the ability to pause, the ability to reflect, and then take intentional action is what separates a true CEO from the rest. And intentional action, intentionality is the power behind the action. If you're just doing something because you think you have to do it, you're getting the same energy out of it as you're putting into it. But if you allow yourself to pause, reflect, and then intentionally take action, that intentional action will give you 10 times back the results, because you're just taking a moment to be intentional. Every time my business can somewhat stagnate, sometimes I always go, am I just doing things to do it? Am I doing it because there's an intentionality behind it? And when I just practice the intentionality behind it, things move very, very quickly. So as a CEO, sometimes the best way forward, honestly, is to slow down, think things through, and make decisions from a place of clarity rather than just rush everything and just think everything needs to get done now. Okay, point 6, innovation and adaptation. So true CEOs are innovators, and honestly, we can all be innovators if we want to be. So they adapt to the ever-changing landscape of business and the world. But what many don't actually realize is that their ability to innovate is often tied to their emotional state. In order to innovate, you actually need to be in a creative state. If you're in a stressful state, your cortisol is tapping off your creative flow in your brain. So I actually worked with a powerful woman in Hong Kong. She was incredible. She honestly built an empire whilst raising 2 kids. It was incredible. And she came to me because she was struggling with emotional resilience. So she'd built a business that was so far removed from who she truly was that she actually didn't even recognize herself. And we can do this. We can get trapped in this idea of where we should go, what we should do, and then we finally wake up one day and go, what the hell, who am I, what am I doing? So working through her emotions, we actually was able to figure out who she was at the core. The moment she reconnected with her authentic self, her ability to adapt and innovate in her business skyrocketed. So she was actually able to make decisions from a place of self-awareness and expansion, not fear. What I find with this, when people say I want to work in alignment, I want to find my authentic self, it's not about trying to grab something else, it's just removing the fear, removing the shoulds, removing the blame, removing the hurt. And then you're left with the creativity. As you remove all of that shit, basically, you take the cortisol levels out of your head because you're not playing them on loop in the back of your mind, and your creativity center clicks back on because you're feeling a bit more free, a bit more flowy, like, oh, I can do this. You let go easier. And as you let go easier, you can innovate more because you know things change, you know things grow, but you're riding the wave of it instead of allowing it just to keep crushing you down. This is the last point. This is one of my favorite points. And I do love this saying, so I'm going to say it because it's so fun. Live, love, laugh. Literally. So one of the most important traits of a CEO is don't take yourself too seriously. Honestly, don't. There is no point. The happiest CEOs I've ever worked with have honestly been the ones who laugh, they joke, and they embrace the chaos because they know how to embrace the chaos of their emotions and the chaos of their mind. That's where the first point of emotional resilience comes in. So why does happiness actually matter amongst the entire scheme of growing a business and becoming a CEO? Because at the end of the day, the ultimate destination is joy. And when you can learn to laugh through the absolute shitstorms that occur, you'll find that life and business are a lot more fun. And when you're having more fun, when you're more joyful, you are automatically in a more creative state because you've got dopamine running through your veins. You don't have as much cortisol. So you're creative, you're innovative, you forgive easier. Life's just a bit easier, even though shit's still happening. It's like water off a duck's back. So 2 CEOs I actually worked with in Bali were already running a successful business, and they wanted to start another one. And they were mums, and I thought this was amazing. They also swore, they wore sarongs, and honestly, they were having a blast. These were successful business owners, and they were far from the stiff, buttoned-up CEOs that I had imagined that they should be, because that was my idea of what a CEO should be. And honestly, when I saw this, I realized that the best CEOs aren't those who wear suits and ties. It's not about the external. It's honestly the ones who can balance balance hard work and fun with laughter. So if this video resonated with you, please subscribe, join in, exploring more about what it really actually takes to become a true CEO. It's not about perfection, far from it. It's about showing up, learning and growing along the way. And you're gonna make mistakes, embrace it. It's all okay. And if you want personalized guidance to start embracing these traits and leading like a true CEO, I offer one-on-one coaching services, and we'll work together to help you grow, help you adapt, and have more fun while doing it. Check the link in the description for more information. And the true power of a CEO is about owning your journey, embracing mistakes, and having a good laugh along the way. I'll see you in the next video. To your success.